So the thing is, I've been interested in these Soviet off-road vehicles for quite a few years now, but it's actually kind of hard to find some kind of English content on these, so I figured I could provide some. Now I will say that I'm in no way an expert at these, but I do have more of them than most people in the West have ever really seen in real life. And I have taken them apart and put them back together, so I do know what's on the inside as well. So I guess that makes me kind of qualified to talk about these, so let's have a look. Now we are going to focus on this one because it's the most original and the most functional one that I have, and it's the one that you're most likely to see. The other one here is my race car project. It's been modified in a lot of ways, so it's not very original anymore, and it still needs quite a bit of work before it's really done. And as for the van, well, it's in a pretty rough condition. I haven't even started working on this yet, so it does run and drive, but that's about it. And it kind of deserves its own video, probably with one that's slightly better. Alright, does look like we have a bit of a storm coming in, so we might have to wait that out. Anyway, let's do a little walk around and see what we got. Starting from the front, not a whole lot going on really. It's very flat, very simple. Big steel bumper with some nice big recovery points. You can see the radiator in there. It's equipped for very cold weather driving, so you can sort of block off the radiator. It's got this lever here under the dash that's going to open and close the shutters on the radiator. And not all of them have this option for the radiator. This one does and the van does, but this one doesn't. I'm guessing it was only equipped to the ones going to really cold areas where the radiator might be a little too effective. Anyway, let's take a quick look underneath. Solid front axle on leaf spring suspension. Very simple steering. It's got drum brakes. It's a single circuit brake system. Right now the hubs are just permanently attached, but you do have the option to add freewheeling hubs or lockout hubs, and I'll probably do that to this one at some point. As for the tires, they are 215 by 90 on 15-inch steel rims. Coming along the side, we have some mirrors. These are not original. There's actually two different mirrors on this one. And they're normally only suspended by this one piece, but they reinforced it quite a bit. I imagine it wobbles a lot. That's also why I swapped to a slightly newer style of mirrors on this one. Go ahead and have a quick look in here. Look at the seats. Just very basic, very simple. You have two settings on the backrest, and you have to loosen a bolt in either side, and you can tilt it up a little, and that's about what you get for adjustability. To move the seat forward, you have to unbolt it from the floor. You can't really see it because of the carpet I put in, but it does have 3 positions for those bolts, and that's what you get. It doesn't normally have seat belts. I put those in as required by law. We do have a fuel filler cap over here, but there's nothing in there because this only has one fuel tank, and that's on the driver's side. It was optional to have another fuel tank on this side, but this one doesn't have that. This is a soft top. It does come with metal roofs and a glass fiber roof, I believe, but most of them will have this soft top. You can remove the whole thing along with the windows and fold down the front to make it completely open. Coming around the back, we have a spare tire on a swing out arm. Not really much of a bumper back here. We have, kind of like a Jeep, a couple of stops here to allow them to bump into each other without a lot of damage. Nice big NATO hook. It's not really NATO, I suppose it's Soviet, but kind of the same style. Solid rear axle on leaf springs and with drum brakes as well. I'll go ahead and show you how quick and easy it is to get into the back of this thing. There you have it. Right, so for obvious reasons I just use the side doors. Anyway, very flat floor in here. It's not supposed to look like that. I guess it's rusted and someone welded in a sheet of metal. It was supposed to look ripped, kind of like the tailgate here. And because the rules are kind of weird around here, this is registered as a van. That means I cannot have rear seats in it. Otherwise you would have a 3-person bench seat across there, and you would have an extra 2 seats here and here facing each other. Also, that weird wall behind the driver, that is also a requirement due to law, so you can disregard that. It's not normally there. Coming around the other side, take a quick look at the doors here. Nice big fridge handles. The inside one is missing, but that's because of the van registration. Very simple. Nice big pockets for what you need, ammo, whatever. The windows don't open, they don't roll down. All you get is the little window on the corner here. If you want to actually open the entire thing, you have to bolt it off. 3 bolts. You can take the entire top half of the door off. Same goes for all 4. The newer ones did get sliding windows, so you can open half of this. And some of the older ones have folding windows. You have a set of hinges on the outside, so the entire top half just folds down and sits on the outside of the door. Now on this side we do have a fuel tank. Now the tank holds 40 liters, and if you had one on the other side, that would be another 40. It does have this very cool built-in little funnel here. It's actually super handy if you're filling it up with jerry cans or something like that. We'll get into the driver's seat in a moment, but first let's go back around here and have a look at that engine. So to open the hood, you have these 2 little buttons, one on either side. You just press both of those and lift up. It does have a support for it, but I kind of just lean it against the front windshield. It does have a little rubber stop, so it's not leaning against the metal. So here we have the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder gasoline engine. Or rather, it should have been, but it actually looks like this one's had it swapped at some point in its life. It was supposed to have an engine like the one in this one, which is an UAZ engine. That is the original one. But the one in this one is a ZMZ. I believe that is the slightly newer and slightly bigger 2.7 liter. But really they are mostly the same, they handle the same. It's a different block and a different head, but a lot of the other components are the same. The air filter is a wet type, meaning it has this little pan with some oil in it. That'll take the worst of the dirt, so you just have to wash it out. No need to change anything. Did have a single barrel carburetor, but this one I swapped for a double barrel carburetor, which is the slightly bigger, slightly better one. These are able to run very low octane, down to octane 72, I believe. Down here on the fuel pump, you have a little hand lever. Allows you to prime the carburetor if it's been sitting for a while. I did put an inline filter on this. It was supposed to have a little filter console mounted right around here, but that was completely disintegrated. The idea was that it was the same type of filter like the air filter. You just wash it out and clean it and you keep going. No need to replace anything. Last thing we have going on out here is the container for the sprinkler fluid. This one had an electric pump installed. It's kind of neat. Normally you would have a little foot pump. That's actually still mounted in the racer. And you have the heater fan. It draws in air from the vent up here. That's open with a little handle on the passenger side. Now, should you be out in the middle of nowhere and run out of battery, you actually do have the option to hand crank this. So let's give that a go. What you do is put it in neutral, put the ignition on, put the choke on, and prime the carburetor. Insert the handle and get to cranking. And I really think that's about all we have going on the outside of this. So let's get inside and take a look. So, standard pedal setup. Over here in the corner you have a switch for the high beams, indicator up here on the steering column, handbrake, 4 speeds and reverse. You have high-low range, and you have 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive. You got your speedometer, your charging amps, oil pressure, temperature, and fuel. This is your choke. This is, well, it's not windshield washers as the button says. I guess that's just what they happen to have. It's the speed for the heater fan. You have your light switch, ignition, and some after-mounted switch. This one is for the sprinkler that they put on. And that's really about it. There's not much else going on in here. Alright, enough talking. Let's drive. Series 1, Series 2 Land Rover. It's really loud in here. You don't have any power steering. You have unsynchronized gears, so you have to work that a little. There's no booster, so you have to put some force into it. But later on they were upgraded to a 2-circuit brakes with a brake booster. Despite all that, it does drive alright. Could you daily drive this? Certainly. Could you go across the country? Yes. Would you want to? Probably not if you had other options. But do keep in mind the places where people do drive these on the daily basis, they don't necessarily have paved roads. Where these things really shine is obviously off-road. So let's go 4x4, low range. makes it look easy, and it actually was. I mean, and that's kind of the whole point. They were made to be really cheap and fast to produce, and very simple and easy to maintain and repair, and be really good off-road, and it does all of that. There's a bunch of stuff we haven't talked about, and I kind of wanted to keep this short, but this is a very early model, so there's a lot of things that changed over the years. But you can actually still buy these today. They just go by the name of the UAZ Hunter. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this video. Hope you found this kind of interesting. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them below, and thanks for watching. We'll see you. Could you daily drive this? Sure, people do. I guess not. So if you want to sit on the side of the road, it's great.